Hello, friends. I hope you're well. I wanted to share with you today a piece of writing that I'm working with that's helping me work through a question that's been on my mind lately. That question is, what does it mean? What does it feel like to live our lives from a place of non-duality? And on the one hand, that is the kind of question that can feel really esoteric or abstract, not particularly grounded in our day-to-day life. But on the other hand, it's one that comes up for me when I'm experiencing some form of suffering that comes from my attachment to one extreme or another, some specific thing instead of its opposite. And I wonder, what might it feel like to experience more wholeness and more integration around this particular thing? And so it's a question that I ponder. And sometimes that gets to happen through art and creativity. And that happened the other day when I was offered a writing prompt in a workshop that I hosted, and that was facilitated by someone else. It's a really beautiful space that she created for us. And the writing prompt that she gave us was, what happened when you shined your light? And that question, brought to mind what feels often to me like a duality that I experience in both my working life and in my personal work. And that is that in the sorts of spaces where folks are doing this kind of work around self-reflection, spiritual practice, personal transformation, oftentimes I hear people referring to their work as light working. People sometimes ask me, are you a light worker? I don't actually relate to that term. It feels binary. It feels dualistic. It feels like it's pointing to something as good and desirable instead of the opposite. And I don't know if that's what I don't suspect that's what people mean when they use the term, but it's how it always landed for me, and so I don't identify with it. On the other hand, we often talk about doing shadow work and the importance of looking into our shadowy, darker places, the places that we would rather often not go or not share with other people. And while that feels more aligned with what I feel like I'm up to in the world, there's still this sense of like we're doing work in places that we've deemed to be bad. And again, there's this duality. And so I asked myself, what does it mean to actually be in a space of wholeness around these metaphors and these experiences around lightness and darkness? And how can we experience them in ways that don't cast judgment either way, that one is good, one is bad, but simply allow ourselves to observe it and be in it? So this writing prompt brought this forward. What happened when you brought your light forth? And I'm going to share the result of that prompt, and it's helping me with this question. So the poem is called Light of the Dark. When I brought my light forth, I was surprised by the darkness of it. Not darkness of the grave, but of the womb, velvety, fertile, and nourishing. It is the light of the underground places, the spark of recognition when the root of one tree connects with another, the illumination of insight that comes in the dead of night. When I brought my light forth, it was not the glint of sunlight upon the harp string of an angel, but the glint bounding off the rib scale of a salmon, near dead from battling upstream, and yet fully grounded in her ability to reach the spawning grounds, grateful and willing to release her life once the miracle of this homecoming is achieved. When I brought my light forth, I sensed deep in the marrow of my bones that it is a light of the dark that is both the womb and the grave, each turning towards the other in the eternal spinning of the web of life. So I pose to you, my friend, What happened when you brought your light forth? And may you be provisioned in the journey of finding out. Thanks so much for being with me. I love you. Goodbye.